Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Coming at you at the tender time of 7:31 p.m. Central Time, and I am glad to join you. It's Friday, June 20th. Today, we're going to talk about the world and how it is about to change in a big way, in a positive way, I should add. But the change is happening soon. The wait is over. So we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about what the market is telling us, what the hard data from the market is telling us. This is Bloomberg's US Economics Surprise Index, which basically aggregates a bunch of different economic indicators and tells us whether they're coming in above or below expectations. And right now, we are at a low, a year to date low for this surprise index. We haven't been this low in 9 months. Now, this index doesn't necessarily indicate that we are going into a recession, but it's not a positive thing when it's going down. And actual results, the hard data is coming in lower and lower as it relates to expectations. And this has caused Trump to kind of lash out today at what he likes to call too late Powell, calling him a not not nice things, calling him a numbskull, a dumb guy, a total and complete moron. So not necessarily presidential in his critique of Powell, but he's frustrated that the U.S. could be saving close to $1 trillion if interest rates were closer to 1 or 2%. And Donald Trump thinks that they should be. But it's not that easy. I think that Powell should have cut, but to say 1 or 2% and would save us, $1 trillion in interest with no negative ramifications, I don't think is honest. There are some real ramifications to a cut of that size, and it will likely show up in inflation. But we're at a point right now where kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. We have the interest on one side and inflation on the other, interest expense on one side, inflation on the other. There's really no escaping the only solution, which is to either have runaway inflation or austerity. And it seems that we're getting closer and closer to this fork in the road, unfortunately. And all this at a backdrop of war and the potential for the United States to enter a war that's not its war. It doesn't have any interest in. Now, I'm no fan of the Iranian regime, but I'm going to say things as I see them. There are no U.S. interests that are served by the United States entering into this war, aligning itself with Israel, who is the belligerent party in this particular case, and bombing Iran. There are no U.S. interests served by the United States joining this fight. The only fight that the United States should be focused on is the fight against this debt, which today hit 37 trillion. 37 trillion in debt. We are now at debt levels that we haven't seen as it relates or relative to GDP. We haven't seen these debt levels since we exited World War II. And we aren't exiting a world war. So this is bad. It's a it's a national emergency, really. And it needs to be addressed with that type of vigor. Now, with regards to the conflict in the Middle East and whether or not a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal can be done this year, Kalshi is putting a 45% chance that this happens, which is not that great considering this means that it's less than likely that a deal is done this year. which means this conflict will likely be prolonged. But then again, what does Kalshi know? Speaking of betting markets, this user, Gally, posted on June 19th that Polymarket was only giving Tesla a 14% chance of a June Robotaxi launch. And interestingly enough, excitingly enough for Tesla investors, Elon Musk responded to this post and he said, money making opportunity, which I'm sure made a lot of Tesla investors rub their hands against each other. Because the launch of Robotaxi in June could really initiate a prolonged run for this stock. I mean, it's very likely that the update that goes to these millions of Tesla cars that are on the road that enables them to become robotaxis, that update may be akin to the ChatGPT moment that NVIDIA experienced a couple of years ago. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the next month or two. Perhaps it takes longer. Perhaps we see it after 6 months or perhaps after a year, but it is closer than ever. And Tesla stock, despite the volatility in the market, despite the chaos, despite the uncertainty, despite the comments from the administration that are sometimes hawkish, sometimes dovish with regards to Iran, with regards to the economy, with regards to tariffs. Despite all of that, if you look at Tesla stock from the trough that it experienced around April 8th, after the Liberation Day, it is up 45%, which is a pretty good performance, and it has held rather steady in the last week, despite the volatility in the rest of the market. So I do think that the Robotaxi event is acting as a support for this stock that is causing it to do well despite other adversity that we're seeing in the market. The future is here, folks. We've waited years and years and years for this, but it appears that we're finally here. Driverless Tesla robotaxis have been spotted in the streets of Austin. No driver, no steering wheel. It's here, folks. And it's going to be big. And as I mentioned, I do think that this is going to take this stock on a prolonged run. Once it becomes clear to investors, once it becomes clear to Wall Street what is going on here. And what is going on is that the world is changing. The roads are 2 to 3 years from now are going to look a lot different than they look today. It's going to be a common occurrence to see cars on the road without drivers making deliveries. And it's more than likely that those cars are going to be Teslas. Very exciting developments. And I will be keenly watching the launch of Robotaxi, which is expected to be this Sunday. And if it is, I expect Monday to open very strong for Tesla. And that's why we made a purchase of Tesla before market close today in our PIF master portfolio. And if you'd like to follow our portfolio, then make sure to become a member. Link to do so is in the description of this video. And with that, let's take questions very quickly. Al Musafir says, Assalamu. That's a great name, a great reminder. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Do you pray istikhara before taking positions? That's a good question. I can't say I pray istikhara before every trade, but if something is sort of I'm on the fence about it, then I will. But I don't do it for every trade. But it's a good use of that tool that Muslims have. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for your input on these lives. It's my pleasure, Dr. Khalid. I hope you are doing well. And leave a like if you enjoyed this live. As I mentioned, make sure to become a PIF member if you aren't already. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.